Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this segment, we are going to continue our discussion on irregular verbs, and we will focus on the category of irregular verbs called naqis. So this is a list of different types of verbs, and here we have all the fail mu'tal, which is one category of irregular verbs where we have either a waw or a ya. We've talked about mithal, where the illat, which is either the waw letter or ya, shows up in the beginning. Then we talked about ajwaf, where either a waw or a ya shows up in the middle in place of the ayn letter. And today we are going to talk about naqis. And with naqis, the waw or ya shows up at the end. After this, the only thing we'll have left is lafif, where we have two illats. But anyway, the focus for today is naqis. The next few slides just give you vocabulary related to naqis, and I'm not going to go over this. This is for you to study and try and memorize. All these are words that show up in the Quran, so these are good words to remember. And interestingly, these words show up quite a lot, and just a quick glance at this will indicate that you see these quite often in the Quran. So these are all the mujarrad words, which we've been calling salati mujarrad. Then these are all the mazid fi. So we've talked earlier about what family 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 6, 8, 10. So we've talked about what these families mean. I'm not going to go over the vocabulary right now. Okay, so what is naqis? Naqis is where the last root letter, which is the lam kalima. So this in the lam kalima we have a vowel, which is a waw or a ya. This means that this irregularity affects the ending of words because the waw or ya is coming up at the end. Naqis is an irregularity that spares none. Every family and every sigha, sigha is where we have all these different verbs in a conjugation. So every category is affected, and within every category, every sigha is affected by naqis. So that's the bad news. The good news is that this irregularity behaves very consistently, and therefore we don't need to learn that many rules. It's just a handful of rules that we can learn, and then those rules apply across the different types of families. We are going to first talk about naqis in mazid fi families, and then after that we'll come to mujarrad. Fortunately, naqis-e yai and naqis-e wawi, and I hope you can quickly determine what this means. So naqis-e yai is where the lam letter is a ya, naqis-e wawi is where the lam letter is a waw. In both these cases, the mazid fi behaves the same way. So we can say that effectively it doesn't matter whether the last letter is a waw or a ya. The rules that we will look at are the same, regardless of whether we have a waw or a ya as the last letter. As we've done in earlier lessons, we are going to talk about sarfe saghir first. And as a quick reminder, sarfe saghir is where for the different kinds of conjugations, we only look at the first letter or the first sigha. And the first sigha is third person masculine, singular. So we are going to look at the first for fail, madhi, then fail mudare, and so on. And for this particular lesson, I'm just going to focus on fail madi and fail mudare because these two forms show up the most often. And once you understand madi and mudare in subsequent, as in you can then on your own go through these slides and look at the rules for the other kinds of verbs. But focus today will be on madi and mudare. All right. So we are going to have some general rules. I'm just going to briefly talk about them here, but then these rules I'll show you with every single family, and then you'll see how this applies. But my focus here is to just explain what these rules mean. With fail madi, the end is always in alif maksura. So what is alif maksura? Alif maksura is going to be indicated by this empty ya, and in most Qurans, most mushafs, you see this with a, in Urdu we sometimes call this khada alif. Alif maksura is like a small alif, and all this does is takes the earlier sound and extends it like an alif would do. All right, so
Arif
yeah,
Saab, I just had a question.
yeah,
The normal rule that we studied for alif was that before it the letter has a fatha on it. So is this the same standard alif or is this a little different?
yeah. This is the standard alif. So in general, when there's an alif over here, you'll notice that the letter before will have a fatha, and then this alif maksura, what we said was alif maksura doesn't have any fatha, kasra, dhamma on it. All this does is it takes the earlier sound and extends it.
Okay.
And we'll see examples of that. So this is an alif, it's not a hamza.
Okay.
All right. How's a hamza different from an alif?
Hamza could have fatha, kasra, or all four.
All four. Yeah, exactly. All four. Fatha, kasra, dhamma, sukun. Whereas an alif, be it alif maksura or regular alif, all that does is extends whatever we have before it. The simple rule though is that with fail madi, the end will be always alif maksura, whether it's naqis wawi or naqis yai. The end of fail madi is always in alif maksura. And how do we write alif maksura in this book? We simply indicate it like this. And in some mushafs, we also put this little khadi alif or alif maksura. Okay, so this is a key rule. Then for mudare, it generally ends in ya. So the ya is going to be indicated like this with two dots at the bottom. So this then can have a fatha, kasra, etc. And we'll see examples. So the mudare ends in ya almost all the time, but our exception is the fatha families, ta'abana and ta'allama. So why are these the fatha families? I'll just quickly remind you, and with these lessons we are actually remembering our various babs. When we look at the mazid fi babs, the first one was akrama yukrimu. So with akrama yukrimu in mudare, so with fail mudare, akrama yukrimu, the ain letter, so yuk ri mu. So ain letter, the middle letter has a kasra. Then babe tafil sarrafa yusarrifu, the ain letter has a kasra. Then bab mufala qatala yuqatilu, the ain letter has a kasra. But then we have these two babs that start with ta, tafa'ul and so tafa'ul with the ain has shadda, and tafa'ul. So here the examples were taqabbala yataqabbalu and taqabala yataqabalu. So these are the only two babs, babe tafa'ul and babe tafa'ul. So these are the only two babs, mazid fi babs, where the fail mudare ain letter has a fatha. That's why these are called the fatha families. So ta'awana comes from tafa, bab tafa'ul, ta'allama comes from babe tafa'ul. So these are called the fatha families. So these fatha families, the fail mudare ends with alif maksura. Okay, and everything I'm saying here, I will repeat for every single bab. So hopefully at the end of this lesson, at the very least, you will have understood what to do with fail madi and fail mudare, and to try and reduce the number of things you need to remember in this lesson, I'll just focus on these two, fail madi, fail mudare. Then these ism file, ism mafool is self-study based on what we will learn today. I feel that even if you get fail mazi and mudare covered, that will be a lot of progress. Then there are some family specific rules. Those family specific rules apply to the masdar. Now, the masdar I'll let you study on your own, but I'll just help you understand what this is saying, because you can then read this on your own and try to memorize. But what we are being told here is that if the masdar belongs to one of these families, and these are the examples, hopefully now when you see jahada or aslama, these names, you should be able to figure out which family we are talking about, which mazid fi bab we are talking about. With these babs, the masdar will end with a hamza. Bab allama yuallimu, this is sarrafa yusarrifu, bab taf'il. This and bab jahada, which the example we did was qatala yuqatilu, that's bab mufa'ala. These end in a ta marbuta, and for 5 and 6 this ends with a double kasra or in. So that's all I'll say right now. You can try and memorize this on your own later, but our focus is going to be on fail madi and fail mudare. So we'll just focus on these two. Okay, family 2. So can you remind me which family this is from our examples? So just looking at this, so which one is family 2?
Allama.
Ya allama yuallimu, sarrafa yusarrifu. Exactly. So we have basically the ain letter, which is doubled. So our classic example is sarrafa yusarrifu, or the other good one to remember is allama yuallimu. So instead of sarrafa or allama, if our root letters are seen, meme, and then as I've said before, it doesn't matter whether the last letter is a vav or a ya. And by looking at this, we can't even tell. But the good news is that it doesn't matter. So as in, you can look in the dictionary. In the dictionary, you can first look at seen, meme, vav, and see if you find this. Otherwise, if you don't find it, then you look at seen, meme, ya. But here, this represents an alif maksura. So this will be read samma. So this is the past tense. And this is the rule we saw over here. The madi always ends in alif maksura. So that's what's happening here. So the rest of it is similar to sarrafa or allama. And then the end becomes an alif maksura. And then what is this? This is fail mudare, which would be like yusarrifu or yuallimu. So you see the ya with a dhamma, and then the ain letter has a fatha. Actually, the ya is the mudare indicator, the sin is the fa letter, and then this is the meme is the ain letter, and it has a kasra, just the way you sarrifu or you allimu has a kasra on the ain letter. And then the final letter, lam letter, what did we say the rule is for that? That it is going to be generally a ya. Okay, and that ya is indicated over here. So you sum me. All right, you sum me. So the ya is indicated by the 2 dots over here, and it's a sukoon. So you sum me. Okay, samma, you sum me. And then we'll just remember the masdar is tasmiyatan. Just we are told that for family 2, it ends in a ta marbuta. So samma yusammi tasmiyatan. Okay. So this is babe taf'il. Okay, then family 3. So which bab does this look like? Anyone?
Fa'ala.
Yeah, exactly. So
Fa'ala
qatala yuqatilu muqatalatan. So this is babe mufa'ala, and they are two masdars. One is muqatala and the other is qital. Okay, and the two masdars are indicated over here. So what is the fail madi rule? The fail madi rule is that it ends
Yeah.
in alif maksura. Alif maksura. So, so how do we pronounce this? The fail madi?
Nadi.
No,
Nada.
nada. Alif.
Nadi.
Nada.
Oh,
That's
oh,
what it's
nada. I'm
called.
sorry.
Yeah, nada.
It's
That's
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
It's alif maksura, right? So there is nothing on
The next one is Yunadi. Okay.
Yunadi. And what does nada mean? He called, right? So he called, and I'm sure you will remember this from the Quran. It shows up very often. So nada, he called, and he is calling or he will call. That is Yunadi.
Yunadi.
So with fail mudare, it ends in a ya, and then this is family 3. So the mastar ends in hamza. So nida or nida with waqf or nida'an, and then the other mastar over here. So we are told that the second mastar for family 3 ends in a ta marbuta. So this is the second masdar. But again, I want you to focus on the madi and the mudari. Nada, yunadi. So nada, alif maksura. Yunadi is a proper ya, yunadi. And Dr. Ghani, you might recall, so this is the point we were making early. So notice, what is the alif maksura doing? It's simply extending the earlier sound. So nada,
Right.
yunadi.
And just a question. So the alif maksura pronunciation is no different from a normal alif pronunciation.
Exactly. Alif maksura is just like a normal alif. It's just written like in Urdu we sometimes say chota alif, right? Which is just it's just written on top of a ya. Like in Musa, Isa, that's an alif maksura at the end, right? But it's written with both Musa and Isa. The alif maksura is written on a ya, written on what looks like a ya, but it's pronounced like an alif. Okay. Family 4. Which family is this?
The aslama or akrama.
The akrama, yukrimu. Okay, so instead of akrama, what do we say? So the root letters here are lam, and then qaf, and then either waw or ya. Okay, so
Al-qa.
yeah, so al-qa, right? So it's very simple actually. Once you get the hang of it, and it's actually easy, right? So al-qa. So al is just like ak, and then the ain letter has a fatha. Ain letter is a qaf, and then at the end we just have alif maksura. Al-qa. So do you remember what this means? Al-qa means to throw. So yulqi is the, where's yulqi coming from? So yukrimu. So this is where the so alqa yulqi. So ya dhamma, that's showing up over here, and then lam yulqi. What is the rule for the last letter? The last letter rule with mudari is that it's going to be a ya. So yulqi, alqa yulqi, and then ilqa'an. We are told that with family 4, the mastar will end with a hamza. So alqa yulqi ilqa'an. Okay. Next, what family is this? Family 5.
Fa'ala.
Yeah, this is
Fa'ala.
is this
The fa'ala.
no, it's fa'ala or tafa? This
Tafa'ala,
is
yes,
tafa'ul. This is babe tafa'ul. So babe tafa'ul.
Tafa'ul.
The example that we did over here is taqabbala yataqabbalu. So taqabbala taqabbala yataqabbalu. So is this a fatha family?
Yes.
It is, because this is one of two families where in the mudare the ain letter has a fatha. Otherwise, with all the other families, the ain letter has a kasra, like akrama yukrimu, sarrafa yusarrifu, qatala yuqatilu. But here we have taqabbala yataqabbalu, right? So this is a fatha. So what did we say? That fail madi is the same. What happens in fail madi? How do we pronounce this? Past tense? Tazakka, right? So now you see where it's coming from. So the last letter is either a waw or a ya. We don't care. It's one of the two. But we don't pronounce it. We just pronounce tazakka. Qad aflaha man tazakka. Right? So that's the same. So one who, he purified. Tazakka. And then yatazakka means he, who is purifying or will purify. So what's happening over here? Here also we have an alif maksura, yatazakka. Why? Because of this exception over here. And I hope you can sort of get a sense for why this is happening. As we've said many times, the Arabs like the language to be smooth. Since we have a fatha over here, it would be ugly to have a ya after a fatha, right? So what sounds smoother? Having an alif maksura after a fatha or having a ya after a fatha? It makes it's smoother. Yeah, alif maksura is much more peaceful with a fatha. Yeah. So in the two families where we have where we have a fatha coming over here, in those two families we just add an alif maksura. Otherwise we have a ya. All right, I hope that made sense. So tazakka, yatazakka, tazkiyan. All right, so this is one of the most this is a very common word in the Quran, and I would argue one of the most important things for us to do. All right, tazakka, yatazakka, tazkiyah. This means to purify our insides. All right. And then which family is this?
Tafa'ala.
Exactly. This is tafa'ala. So tarada, yatarada. So is this also a fatha family?
Yes.
And what's the impact of this being a fatha family?
Yatarada instead of yatarazi.
Exactly. Yatarada. So tarada, yatarada. All right. So hopefully you are getting a hang for this. All right. Then family 7. Which one is this?
Infa'ala, or
very good. Infa'ala. Right. So infatara, yanfatiru, infitaran, inqalaba, yanqalibu, inqilaban. Right. So we have the alif kasra, then the noon. So infatara. So instead of fatara, we have in bagha. So ba with a fatha, ghain with a fatha, and then this could be whatever, waw or ya. So instead of in fatara, we have in ba. How do we pronounce this?
Bagha.
In bagha. And then yan ba. Yan baghi. Here the ain letter has a kasra, so it's going to be followed by a ya. So yan baghi. And then the masdar is imbighaan. Or if we do a waqf, then it's imbigha. All right. Next is family 8, iftara yaftari. So by now I hope you are sensing this, right? It's the same pattern. Yeah. So all the families are impacted, but they are impacted in the same way. Iftara yaftari. right? This sort of means sort of to make stuff up. So iftara, yaftari, iftira'an. Okay, let me just, so the same question, which bab is this?
Ifta'ala.
Yeah, if so, bab iftial, ijtanaba, yajtanibu, ijtinaban. So instead of ijtanaba, we have iftara, and then instead of
Yaftari.
yajtanibu, we have yaftari, and then iftira'an. Okay, and then which bab is this?
Iftial.
Yeah, very good. Babe istif'al. So istansara,
Istifal.
yastansiru, istinsaran. Or another good one is uh, istaghfara, yastaghfiru, istighfaran. Right. So instead of istansara, we are saying istasqa. What does this mean? This means to ask for water. So saqi is one who gives drinks. So istasqa, ask for water. So when the Bani Israel asked Hazrat Musa for water, the term used is istasqa. So to ask for water. So they asked for water, past tense. Yastasqi, same rule over here. With fail mudari we have a ya. With fail madi we have a alif maqsura. And istisqa'an, this is the masdar. All right, so all that was the sarfe saghir, and so to keep our sanity, I just focused on the fail madi and fail mudare. And the quick recap is that with fail madi, we always have an alif maksura at the end, and with fail mudare, it's generally a ya, so an e sound at the end. What are the only two exceptions? The only
The Fatah
two,
family.
yeah, with the fatha families, which is taqabbala, yataqabbalu, and taqabala, yataqabalu. So in the dream textbook, they are called the fatha families. I sometimes call them the ta families. Why do I call them the ta families?
Because they start with ta.
Yeah, these are the way I organize it.
The Madi.
In my organization, it's like Babe Ifal, the Alif one, the Alif Fatah one, just as this is sort of a refresher because our course is coming to an end. So we have with Akrama, that's the Alif Fatah. Then I do the two like Sarrafa and Qatala. Then I do the two families that start with the Ta Fatah, so Taqabbala and Taqabala. Then the three families that have an Alif Kasra. All right, so anyway, that was a side remark. Okay, coming to Sarfe Kabir. Sarfe Kabir is the full long conjugation. So if we look at the fail Madi, the vowel, and here I'll just show you or just explain to you what these things mean, and then it's up to you to try and learn this. So the vowel in the Hua version. So what is the vowel in the Hua version? This means that if you're looking at this over here, I hope you see what's going on. This is singular, this is dual, this is plural, and then this is third person male, this is third person female, second person male, second person female, and first person. And the first person, it doesn't matter whether it's male or female. All right. So this is the Hua version because it's third person male singular. We refer to third person male singular as Hua. So nada. So the vowel in the Hua version always takes alif maksura. So nada, this is what we've already studied, right? So this first point is something we've studied because in Sarfe Kabir, in Sarfe Saghir, we are in any case taking the third person masculine singular for all the different types of conjugations. All right, so nada. Then we are told that the alif maksura is replaced by a ya for the remainder of the conjugations or all these other sigas. All right, but the ya is omitted from hum and hiya form and the huma feminine form. Now this is a lot to remember. So I'm not expecting you to remember this right now, but I'm just expecting that you know enough that you can read this and understand what this book is saying. All right, so you've understood this, right? So nada, this we've discussed. The next point is that generally the alif maksura is replaced by ya with the other conjugations. So instead of that alif maksura, we have a ya over here, we have ya over here, ya. So everywhere we have a ya, except for three cases. So the three cases where the ya is dropped is hum. Hum refers to third person male plural. So na dau. So this can somebody remind me for nasara, just as an example. So nasara, what's the dual and what's the plural?
Nasara and then Nasaru.
Nasaru, right? So nasaru, very good. So nasaru. So notice this wow, and then we just put an alif at the end. This wow is not a wow that is part of the root letters. This wow is a plural indicator. So in this na dau, the wow is a plural indicator. The noon, and then so the alif is the zaid, because of the bab. The dal is the ain letter, and then the ya letter is eliminated altogether. So the ya letter is dropped, and we are left with nadau. And here also, the ta is simply a dual indicator. So in these things, the three sigas that are grayed, the third root letter is just dropped altogether. So that's the point here. The ya is omitted from the hum form, which is third person male plural, the hiya form, which is this one, third person female singular, and the huma form, so this form over here, which is feminine. And then we are told that the hum ends in an au sound, so na dau. Anyway, so when you have time and interest, you can learn this. But for now, I want you to at least remember this first one, nada. All right, what about mudare? So here again, I'm just expecting that you can read this and understand what is being said. We are looking at the sarfe kabir, which is the full conjugation. So singular, dual, plural, third person male, third person female, second person male, second female, first person. So yunadi, does this look familiar? So this is familiar. This is the standard thing that we've learned, right? So yunadi, and then we are told that in general, the ya is so yunadi, and then so here we do have a ya. So yunadi yani, but here and here, the ya is omitted. So the third root letter is omitted altogether. Yunaduna and tunaduna. Other than that, if you know your regular conjugation surface kabir, this should be relatively easy to figure out. So I hope you realize here also that whether the last root letter is a vav or a ya, in all these we are just using ya. So you can think that the ya sort of trumps the vav. So the ya is more powerful than the vav. Okay, when it comes to the fatha families, which are the fatha families? These are the taqabbala yataqabbalu and taqabala yataqabalu. The ya sound produces a fatha sound in the entire chart. So yatawalla, yatawallayani, yatawallawna. So this is our chart for the fatha family. So in general here, we have alif maksuras. All right, I'm going to skip all these others, but hopefully you can understand what we are talking about. Here we are looking at mazi majhul. So just as a quick refresher, because we are closing this course, so I just want to check fa a la. What's the mazi majhul form? Does anybody remember?
Fu'ila.
Fu'ala.
Fu'ila, I think.
Fu'ala.
Fu'ila.
Fu'ila.
This is the mazi majhul. So So that is the sort of form that you are generally seeing over here, nudiya, right? So at least remember this one. So fu'ila, the fa letter has a dhamma and the ain letter has a kasra, and in the end we generally have a ya. So instead of fu'ila we have a nudiya. And then this is again as a quick refresher. So if we have yaf alu, this is mudare ma'lum. What is the form for mudare majhul? Do you remember?
يفعل.
Allah.
Yeah, yuf alu.
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 With majhul, mudare majhul, it's yuf alu. So that's why over here in general you use fathas. So yunada. So the mudare indicator will have a dhamma, and then this has a fatha. All right. So with the command, the vowel is dropped in the anta version. So this, I'm going to, skip this, but it's with you as your reference material. All the ism file, ism maf'ul, I'm skipping because this is a lot of stuff to remember. I'll just indicate to you, just I want to make sure that you can read this on your own. Zarf means either the place or time of doing something. In this table, I hope you realize, so these are the rafa forms. So now we are looking, is zarf a verb or a noun?
Noun.
It's a noun, right? So with a noun, is there a with a noun there's no concept of madi or mudare. With a noun, there's no concept of time. So with noun, either it's in rafa form or nasab form or jar form, and either it's singular, dual, or plural. So this is what these. So what's munadiyan? Would be a time or place of calling. Munadiyani, this is dual, and munadiyatun, so this is plural. And then we have in nasab form and in jar form. So this is just material that you need to learn.
So in the singular form, it's the same, monadian, in all three?
Yeah, in the singular, it's the same in all three. And this is different from regular. With regulars, it would be un, an, in, but with with illats, it becomes a little more complicated. And I'm sure you realize that there are like an immense rules associated with all these different categories. But just to keep our sanity in this class, I've just focused on the most important ones, which is fail madi and fail mudare. But at the same time, you need to recognize that all these other things are also happening. They just don't happen that often. So I'm not spending time there. Okay, very briefly with mujarrad. So what's mujarrad? This is the Salati mujarrad. We've talked about the 6 babs. So with mujarrad, all the clans retain the sounds that distinguish it. The only difference is that in some cases, the haraka is replaced by a long vowel. So what does that mean? Okay, so if we take nasara, so as a quick refresher, so nasara, what's the mudare?
Yansuru.
Exactly. So yansuru. So with nasara yansuru, the fail mudare has a dhamma in the middle. So in the past tense, we have a fatha. So we have da'a. So over here we will have da'a because fatha. Nasara is fatha, so we have da'a. But yansuru, the distinguishing factor with mudare is the dhamma. In the beginning, we'll always have a fatha, and in the end, we will always have a dhamma. So the distinction comes in the middle letter, right? So nasara yansuru, fataha yaftahu, karama yakrumu, or samia yasmau, hasiba yahsabu. So the
Yahsibu.
distinguishing factor comes in hasiba yahsibu. So the distinguishing factor comes on the middle letter. So with yansuru, the distinction is that it has a dhamma. So in Bab Nasara, the Mudare will have a Dhamma followed by a Waw. So Yad U, because Dhamma is friends with Waw. Fataha, what is the Mudare for Fataha?
Yaftahu.
Yaftahu. So that's a Fatha. So since that is a Fatha, there you can expect an Alif Maksura. So in the past tense, we have Tagha, because Fataha has a, has a Fatha. So Tagha, and then in the Mudari you also have Yatgha, right? So both of these have a Alif Maksura. Daraba, what would you expect? So Daraba, what's
Yadribu.
the Yadribu? So in the past tense you would expect an Alif Maksura, Hada, and what would you expect in the Mudari?
Yeah, kasra,
Ya.
yahdi.
Yeah, kasra means followed by a ya, right? So,
Yeah.
so notice where you have a fatha, that will lead to an alif maksura. Where you have a kasra, that will lead to a ya, and a dhamma will lead to a waw. So that's why here nasara yansuru becomes da'a yad'u, fataha yaftahu becomes tagha yatgha, daraba yadribu becomes hada yahdi, and sami'a yasma'u, what does this become? So from sami'a we have nasiya.
Yasma'u fatha.
So here we have and yansa,
Yes, sir.
right? So I hope you see the logic. And
So Arifa, for these words, basically, we have to learn the babs, essentially.
yeah, exactly.
What
So,
bab they belong to.
well, hopefully you've already learned them, right? So you've learned the babs, but then if
No,
you
but like for taga, hada, we need to know, okay,
exactly,
hada is actually bab daraba, so it should be
exactly,
yata.
exactly. So if you are told that, this is ha, dal, ya, and you are told that it's bab daraba, so in the dictionary, if you see daraba, that this is bab daraba, then you know that the past tense will be hada and the mudare will be yahdi, right? And if you know that this is taghaya and it's bab fataha, then you would know that the madi is tagha and you would know that the mudare is yatgha. But your point is valid. You would, at some point either learn or somebody would tell you that, okay, this is bab fataha. And then you'll figure this out. All right, the rest I'll skip. These are majhul, fa'il, maful, zarf, and ala. Okay, and then the next few slides cover what we've talked about. So with bab nasara, we have da'a, yad'u. Why is this a waw? Because this
Because
is
it's
nasara yansuru,
yansuru. Yeah.
right? Okay,
Bab.
then we have bab fataha, tagha, yatgha. So this is the alif maksura because this is fataha, yaftahu. Then bab daraba, daraba yadribu. So hada, yahdi. Then bab sami'a, yasma'u. So in the madi we have a kasra, so we have a ya, and then in mudare yasma'u we have a fatha, so that's why this becomes yansa. This means to forget. Nisyanan. Okay. And then the sarf-e kabir. The sarf-e kabir for the mujarrid is similar to the sarf-e kabir that we saw with mazid fi. There is only one key difference. The root letter, if the root letter is a waw, so we have naqis wawi, and here unfortunately we can't just look at this and know what the root letter is. That's something we have to figure out from the dictionary. So if the root letter is a vowel, the vowel comes back. Otherwise, we have a ya, which comes back. And if the root so this is, if the root letter is waw, the waw comes, this is naqis-e wawi, and with naqis-e yai, these are the tables. But I think this is a lot to remember. I just want to go back to the two most basic rules. And what are the two most basic rules? What do we do in fail madi? What do we always have at the end?
Alif maksura.
Alif
Yeah.
maksura.
Yeah, alif maksura.
Yeah, exactly. With fail madi, you always have alif maksura. And so let me just summarize this here. So with fail madi, so we are talking about naqis, which means that the last letter is either a waw or a ya. With madi, you will always have a alif maksura at the end.
Alif maksura.
And with mudare, what will we have?
Yeah.
You are going to have a yas at the end. And what are the only two exceptions here? With the fatha families or the ta families. So tafa'ul and tafa'ul, that's where you would have a alif maksura. All right. So that is it for this session.